Hello and welcome. Today, we're tackling a challenge that pretty much every business faces, no matter what you do. We're going to build a playbook for turning one of the most stressful situations you can imagine, an angry customer call, into a real opportunity.
Hi, I'm Maiko, your AI knowledge operator. My whole job is to break down complex topics into clear, actionable explainers. And today we're diving into one of the toughest parts of any job. So let's get right to it.
Oof, we've all been on one side of this call, right? Maybe even both. A line like this can feel like a punch to the gut, but it's actually a critical moment for your business. How you respond in the next 30 seconds can either lose a customer forever or build loyalty for life.
So, here's our game plan. We'll walk through 5 key sections. First, we'll talk about the inevitable call. Then, we'll dig into why it matters for your bottom line. Next up, the real heart of our session, the de-escalation playbook. After that, we'll cover what to do after the call ends. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with your key takeaways.
Okay, let's kick things off with section 1, the inevitable call. This is all about facing a universal truth of doing business. Let's be real, perfection is impossible. Mistakes are going to happen. Orders get delayed, products have glitches, misunderstandings pop up. What this means is that frustrated customers aren't just a possibility, they're a certainty. The real skill isn't about avoiding these problems completely, but about handling them with grace and professionalism when they do happen. All right, let's move on to our next section, which really builds on that idea, why it matters. We're talking about the very real, very tangible business stakes riding on every single one of these conversations.
You know, this goes way beyond just solving one person's issue. A bad experience can spread like wildfire online, seriously damaging your brand's image. On the other hand, keeping a customer is way cheaper than finding a new one. In a crowded market, amazing service becomes a huge competitive advantage. And maybe, just maybe, the most important thing is that these calls are a gold mine of honest feedback, pointing you directly to what your customers really need from you. Okay, this is the main event. Section 3 is the heart of this explainer, the de-escalation playbook. This is your practical, step-by-step guide for navigating these really tense conversations.
The first moments of the call are absolutely critical. First, and this is the most important rule, do not lose your cool. This is not about you. It's about their experience with the company. Second, just listen. Let them get it all out without cutting them off. That simple act shows respect. And third, use empathy to connect. You have to acknowledge how they're feeling to build a bridge from that frustration to an actual solution. Let's see how this actually works. So the customer says, I've been waiting a week and my order still isn't here. This is unacceptable. Instead of getting defensive, the agent replies, I completely understand your frustration and I sincerely apologize for the delay. That right there is empathy and ownership. Then, they immediately pivot to action. Let me pull up your order right now and find out exactly what's going on. See? This simple formula dials down the emotion and moves straight into problem-solving mode. Having a few of these phrases in your back pocket is so key. Things like, I get why you feel that way, or even, your concern is right, are incredibly powerful. Why? Because you're not agreeing that the company is wrong, you're just validating that the customer's feeling is legitimate. And that small shift changes you from an opponent to an ally, which makes them way more open to whatever solution you're about to offer. This brings us to a really crucial idea, taking ownership. Now, this does not mean you personally caused the problem. It means you are taking personal responsibility for finding the solution. It's the exact opposite of passing the buck. It sends a clear message to the customer, I'm your partner in getting this solved. Okay, a quick but super critical rule here. It can be so tempting to put a caller on hold, maybe to look something up or just to catch your breath. But don't do it. To an angry customer, being put on hold feels like you're dismissing them or ignoring them. It will almost always make things worse. If you absolutely have to pause, at least ask for their permission first. So once you've listened and shown some empathy, the entire conversation needs to pivot toward resolution. Forget excuses, focus only on solutions you can actually make happen. Reassure them you can help by recommending specific fixes, and if it's a complicated problem, offer to call them back so they know you're committed. And through it all, personalize it. This isn't just a problem, it's their problem. Okay, let's move into section 4. The call might be over, but the work isn't. What happens next is just as important. So let's talk about follow-up, setting boundaries, and of course, measurement. Following up is simply non-negotiable. A quick email or a call just to make sure the solution worked shows you truly care.
This is also the perfect time to ask for feedback. And for those really big service mess-ups, a small gesture of goodwill, like a discount on their next purchase, can completely flip their negative experience into a positive one and lock in their loyalty.
Now, while empathy is everything, your team's well-being is also paramount. You have to set boundaries. A simple script like this one is perfect. I am here to help you, but I can't continue the conversation if you use abusive language. If it continues, I will have to end the call. It's clear, it's professional, and it's not confrontational. Every single person on your team should feel empowered to use a line like this when they need to. So how do you actually know if this playbook is working? You measure it. Let's quickly look at 4 key metrics. First is FCR, or first call resolution. It just asks, did we solve the problem on the first try? That's a huge driver of customer happiness. Next is AHT, average handle time. Now for angry customers, the goal isn't to be fast, it's to be thorough, so keep that in mind. And finally, CSAT and NPS are just simple surveys that ask, were you satisfied and would you recommend us? They're really the ultimate report card on whether you turned a negative into a positive. We have covered a lot of ground, so let's bring it all home in our final section, your key takeaways. Think of these as the core principles of de-escalation. If you remember nothing else from our time today, remember these 5 things. First, stay calm. It's not about you. Second, listen way more than you talk. Third, lead with patience and empathy, always. Fourth, take ownership of finding the solution. And finally, always focus on solutions, never on excuses. I want to leave you with this final thought. We tend to look at these calls as problems we just have to manage. But what if we completely reframe that? What if that angry customer on the line is actually your biggest opportunity? An opportunity to prove your company's commitment, to fix a hidden flaw in your system, and maybe to create your most loyal advocate. Thanks for joining me.